Hey, what's up guys, OSJ here with a YouTube exclusive. A while back, after I did my video on unreleased C64 games, a guy called Stephen White contacted me with a game that he started writing some 5 years ago. He never told me what game it was, and I emailed him back intrigued of what it could be. Oh my god, it's Chaos Engine on the C64. It's unfinished but still looks great what he has done so far. But, and there's always a but when it comes to massive title games getting redone for different systems, there's a bit of a backstory that had me captivated. Around 5 years ago, Stephen decided in his spare time to make a game that he loved for the C64. He was working as a developer in Australia for Taurus Games, which he had done for 22 years. In his current job he developed games, but they were quick turnaround, and he has worked on over 50 published titles, which averages at 2 games per year. A lot of the games that he developed were for the Game Boy Advance during the noughties, where he learned a lot about 2D char-based games. The first Game Boy Advance game that he did was Planet of the Apes, and although this is a game he now calls crap, I think for a first project is pretty decent with the Prince of Persia type graphics and movement. Some of the other games he worked on were Jackie Chan Adventures, Iron Man, but the one that really stands out for me is Pitfall: The Lost Expeditions. The reason it stands out and is related to this video is that Stephen heavily influenced the team to include a top-down section of the game, and as we can see here, it's remarkably like Chaos Engine in style. Speaking with Stephen, it's apparent that this was one of the places that he learned the skills to develop the C64 game. Also, a funny story came out too, about the Fantastic Four game for the GBA. Stephen was off work sick one day and his team decided to put him in the game, seen here. They never told him and he didn't find out until months after the game was released. During this time working at Taurus Games, he had always wanted to turn his attention back to the C64 and see what he could do with his new acquired knowledge and skills. He also developed some powerful art creation tools and techniques along the way that no one else was really trying to apply to the C64. Mythos was the only one that came close, but what that was doing under the hood was very wasteful in memory. Originally he wanted to develop an Amiga game, but none of the artists at work wanted to help create the artwork for him, and great looking games is what the Amiga was all about. So he decided to aim high and start Chaos Engine for the C64, knowing that he could convert the art by himself. He worked hard on the code developing the game. The graphics were simply converted from the Amiga using the art creation tools that he had developed. At this time he was using SD2 IEC to test on real hardware, but this stopped working, so he moved to Pi 1541. He carried on developing, and in 2018 he released some screenshots online. The reception was great and people were really excited as to how good the game was looking in its early stages. Shortly after, Stephen was contacted by the IP owners of Chaos Engine asking him to cease and desist in development. As Stephen worked in the industry, he knew that the IP owner had the right to say what happens with their property and in no way wanted to infringe the lawful owner's rights, so he stopped working on the game. Although a little annoyed, he knew that the work he had done so far was not in vain, as most of the work was in the code and the graphics were just converted from the Amiga, so there wasn't much work lost there. Along this research journey, another name was popping up all the time in forums and on the website where Stephen originally posted the screenshots, and that name was Saul Cross. Now Saul Cross is a great graphic designer, composer and sound designer, and has been involved in a lot of games from Cytronic, but it appears that around the same time as Stephen was developing the C64's Chaos Engine, Saul was actually working on a similar project himself. His game was named Playing God and was more of a Chaos Engine clone type game. The name was partly down to the fact that he knew that the Bitmap Brothers output was still very much a going concern, so not to tread on anyone's toes decided to rename and not infringe the IP. The game plot would also be similar to Chaos Engine, being based around a wealthy Victorian who was conducting unethical and nature-defying experiments, and obviously, as with Chaos Engine, this was to be very much in the steampunk genre. Looking at the screens here, it's apparent that the likeness to Chaos Engine is present, and even the characters bear resemblance too. His artwork is much crisper than Gorak's, that's Stephen's developing name, which is something that Gorak openly admitted needs work on. His version would offer both 1-player and 2-player modes, with the second character being CPU assist, which is similar to Chaos Engine in that respect, but this game would have fewer characters in the roster. There were plans for players to be able to power up various stats as you play, and this would also potentially be customizable at the start too. The backgrounds for Saul's game would use character-based scrolling, with tiles of 5x5 characters, and assignable colour per tile, which puts it well within the workable scope for 8 directional scrolling with colour scrolling. Firing would use an insta-fire effect to avoid having to draw bullets for the most part, meaning that a reasonably robust multiplexer for the sprites could fill the screen with action. Saul made some great progress on the graphics, and even made a start on the music for the game. He also tentatively enlisted the help of Antonio Savon to co-head on the project once other projects were completed. Saul had a lot of interaction with Gorak and the forums during this time, and he has also had a brief chat with Marv, who was the developer who was currently working on a version of Chaos Engine for the C64. Unfortunately, Marv didn't want to be involved in this video, so apart from a link to his YouTube channel, I feel that we can't show anything of his stuff really. Saul also said he would love to see either Gorak or Marv complete their projects. It seems that in October last year, around the time that Marv started working on Chaos Engine, the IP was sold to Rebellion. So maybe now there's a new owner, the chance of us getting Chaos Engine for the C64 isn't so far away. Either way, personally I would love to see Saul and Gorak get together and maybe pool their resources into a game that will give us the best of both their projects. Okay, that's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts on Chaos Engine ever coming out for the C64 in the comments below. Till next time, this is OSG, signing out.